तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। एक तुझको अपना पाया, एक तुझको अपना पाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। सबके मकान दिल का मकीन तू, कौन सा दिल है जिसमें नहीं तू। सबके मकान दिल का मकीन तू, कौन सा दिल है जिसमें नहीं तू। हर एक दिल में तू ही समाया, हर एक दिल में तू ही समाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। क्या मलाइक, क्या इंसान, क्या हिंदू, क्या मुसलमान, क्या मलाइक, क्या इंसान, क्या हिंदू, क्या मुसलमान। जैसे चाहा तूने बनाया, जैसे चाहा तूने बनाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। काबा में क्या और देवल में क्या, तेरी परस्तिश होगी सब जा। काबा में क्या और देवल में क्या, तेरी परस्तिश होगी सब जा। आगे तेरे सिर सबने झुकाया, आगे तेरे सिर सबने झुकाया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है। तुझसे हमने दिल को लगाया, जो कुछ है सो अर्श से लेकर फर्श ज़मीन तक और ज़मीन से अर्श वरी तक, अर्श से लेकर फर्श ज़मीन तक और ज़मीन से अर्श वरी तक, जहाँ मैं देखा तू ही नजर आया, जहाँ मैं देखा तू ही नजर आया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है, तुझसे सोचा समझा देखा भाला, तुझ सा न कोई ढूंढ निकाला, सोचा समझा देखा भाला, तुझ सा न कोई ढूंढ निकाला, अब ये समझ में ज़फ़र आया, अब ये समझ में ज़फ़र आया, जो कुछ है सो तू ही है, तुझसे
Good morning, everyone. This song that was sung is a perfect song for the topic. It's a continuation of last week's topic, covering everything with God. Jo kuch hai, so tu hi hai. This song in the Gospel, it's translated as, I've joined my heart to thee, all that exists art thou. It's a song that was composed by Zafar, who was the last Mughal ruler of India, and it's kind of a Sufi kind of ideal, you can say, but so in keeping with Thakur's way of thinking, that when he heard this song, he fell in love with it. When we read the Gospel, we find that it's not really till towards the end. If I remember correctly, perhaps Trailokya Sanyal sang it the first time. It was probably in the Brahmo songbook, I'm guessing. But after that, Swamiji sang it, the Narendra. And Thakur liked it so much that after a whole series of songs that Swamiji would sing, he would say, sing that one, meaning this particular song. So it really is a very beautiful song. And as I say, very nice for the topic that we have, covering everything with God. You'll remember that this is a topic that is based on the first line of the first verse of the Ishopanishad. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat, that everything that exists, everything that is moving in this world is to be covered with God, covered with this idea, infused with this idea of the divine. So we saw last time that there's something very beautiful and odd at the same time. The immediate question that comes up, we read in the Upanishads that God pervades everything, that there's nothing that is not a manifestation of the divine. This is all Brahman seen through the veil of Maya, time, space, and causation, that this is a fact. We read this in Vedanta. So why are we told, what is the need for us to cover everything if God is already there within everything, God manifesting is everything? Then why do we have to cover something? And how does covering, if there's a veil of Maya there we're trying to remove, how does putting another cover over one cover that's already there help us remove that cover? This is that concept, an odd type of idea, but the whole point is that the second cover will help dissolve that intermediate false cover, and we'll find that this second cover is the one that was the reality to begin with. So this is a little bit of an alternative path, and we'll see when Swamiji, because Swamiji gives an entire lecture dedicated to this Upanishad, Isha Upanishad, that it's kind of an alternative to this idea of neti, that if we want to just say that everything that is transitory, everything that is moving, everything that we see is not Brahman. We do this in order to realize that one thing which remains as pure consciousness, unchanging, transcendental reality, all of that, that this is a path, neti. It is difficult. There are problems with it. I mentioned several last time that if we get rid of everything, that we're getting rid of the underlying reality also. We may be in danger, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as we say. So this is an alternative way of accepting everything and trying to tell ourselves that we're not accepting this as some independent material universe, but as a manifestation of the divine, and we have to somehow impress upon our own minds that idea. So we try to use this as an alternative method. Sometimes they say iti, or more of a devotional type of path. We don't talk about path of devotion much in the Upanishads. This will be leaning in that direction, that try to see everything as a divine, everything is a manifestation of that same divinity. So this is something that in Panchadasi is referred to as Samvadi Brahma, that this idea seems odd, yes, that if there's a problem with something, can we solve it with another similar type of problem? If the problem is false superimposition, that falsely, especially with ourselves, that we falsely superimpose all these external mind, body, senses, and everything on the real self, will the solution be to superimpose something else? So this Samvadi Brahma admits that, yes, we're utilizing something that's also not the final truth. That in the beginning it looks like maybe we're just adding another problem on top of the original problem, but it'll lead to something that will take us to that highest type of truth. This is what Sri Ramakrishna talks about as this Vidya Maya. The Maya aspect is there, it belongs to this relative universe, but it's something that will take us higher to that ultimate goal. So we have actually many different examples and illustrations of how this works. The most common one that Thakur uses is we have a thorn stuck in our foot. We've all heard this before. We have a thorn stuck in our foot. Now, the problem is a thorn. So we would think the antidote will not be the same thing that's the problem. But it turns out that exactly what we need is another thorn, that the second thorn can remove the first thorn. So what Thakur is saying is that sometimes all we have to do is readjust our thinking a little bit and understand that we can counteract something using a similar technique. So superimposition is the problem, superimposition is the answer also. So now let me just give another couple of examples. These are all things that Thakur tells us, that we have the three gunas. Now, if we suffer from too much of tamas, what will be the solution? We know ultimately we want to go beyond the three gunas. But what's the solution if we suffer from too much of tamas? Rajas, yes. Now, rajas is a problem. Why solve one problem with something that looks like another problem? Because we can't go directly from tamas to sattva. So if someone is just completely without any ambition to do anything, lazy and just sunk in some type of depression, couch potato, doesn't want to get off the sofa, what do you tell them? Meditate on God? No. You say, get up, do something. Utishtara. This is why Swamiji, he was so keen on telling the people in India who he felt were stuck in tamas. Yeah, arise, awake. Yeah, you get up and do something. How he would tell these young boys that you'll be closer to God through playing football, soccer, than through studying Gita. Because they weren't yet ready for this sattva, they needed this rajas. So this is a perfect example that rajas will be a samvadi brahma. It's also part of the problem because we have to go beyond it eventually. But it'll take care of this problem of tamas, and then we can try to attain to sattva. Then somebody will say, sattva is also one of the three thieves. We know Thakur's story. We have to go beyond all of the gunas. Yes, but sattva is the one that will cure us of this problem, this illness of rajas. So we utilize all of these things. Even though this is sattva is something that ultimately we have to leave behind us. Thakur says that sattva can show us the way out of the forest, but can't go with us. So these are all examples of the same process of not relying simply on the very highest truth. We can't always just say that I am Brahman and this world is nothing but Brahman itself, and that'll solve. We have to go step by step with these other things. So say, for example, that our problem is that we suffer from too much of the passions. Lust, anger, greed, pride, all of the different passions. That one type of advice will be, then purify yourself of the passions. Yeah, but how do we do that? It sounds very nice. What Thakur says will tell us, then strengthen them, but push them in a different direction. We have a desire for worldly enjoyment, then can we get rid of that desire with another desire? Another desire, then people will say, that's also a desire, you have to get rid of that. But the second desire for God realization, for holy company, for attainment of renunciation and dispassion and love of God, all of these things, that desire will counteract the other desire. Then if we need to, we go beyond all of them. But Thakur says that in most cases, the second one doesn't really belong to the same category. It's not really a desire, but you also get rid of all of these other desires. So this is that technique which we're really getting to here in this Ishopanishad verse, that do something positive. Don't simply try to rip off something, there's a negative side, and deny everything. See, this other problem, this neti, was a very serious problem, that sometimes people will develop a little bit of indifference to the world. It's okay for someone who wants to be another Buddha, go off and go into a mountain cave and everything. But for most people, if it leads to some type of indifference, coldness, we don't care about other people, their suffering, or anything like that, then what's the point of it all? If it doesn't allow us to love everybody. So this positive side is something very important. This positive side is what has been emphasized so much here. So that, and we're infusing this idea of divinity because it's already there, but we don't see it. This is the most important part. We're not using our imagination to give us some type of understanding of something that's false. And how do we know that it's true? We have to have that faith. We read it in the scriptures, the gurus tell us that we have to have that faith, that yes, everything ultimately is filled with God, everything is divine, and that this is a very nice way of understanding and going about it, where we don't reject anything. We can inject this idea of divinity into all different aspects of life. So we finished last Sunday with 4 different aspects or 4 different ways in which we can utilize this concept, this idea of, with the help of our imagination, turning something that seemed secular or seems immaterial, help of our imagination, infusing or superimposing some idea that will enable us to see the inherent divinity that has always been there, with regard to this external world, with regard to the Brahman itself, with regard to the self within, and with regard to all other living beings. So 4 different things. That we do this superimposition even with the Brahman itself. Now, why will we do it with Brahman itself? Because to try to think even of this infinite absolute reality, to try to meditate on it without the help of any qualities or names or forms or anything is very difficult. The human mind doesn't know how to do it. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't ways. Of course, we have different types of meditation on the Nirguna Brahman, many symbolic types of things, or just utilizing this vichara, trying to identify ourselves with the witnessing consciousness and everything else as an object. We can do it, of course. But in general, if we want to sit for meditation and have some idea that we're meditating on some aspect of God, and we have some belief in this Nirguna Brahman aspect, and yet understand that we ourselves can put a face on this infinite absolute Brahman, we can establish a relationship. So this is one aspect in which that we can put this into practice, this idea. There was a very nice section in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna where M asks Sri Ramakrishna about this Chinmaya Roop. He says, what is the form of Brahman? Now, generally, Thakur, we don't think of this, that Brahman is formless. But he's asking this question. Thakur must have used that expression. In the English translation, it says, a spirit form of God. This is what we read. M asks Sri Ramakrishna what the spirit form of God is like. Chinmaya Rupa. So of Sri Ramakrishna, we know his standard answer is that these are beyond possibility of describing, that Brahman is what Brahman is. This particular time, he says, it's like water. And then he hesitates a little bit, and then he says, one understands these things through spiritual practice. And then that ends that conversation. So we just get a hint. We just get a hint about Brahman being like water. Why does he say that? And what are the characteristics and qualities of water? So I like this idea, the thinking of Brahman as water, for several reasons. One is that the nature of water is that we can't say formless or with form. It's both, and neither one is actually correct. Formless, it's never in a formless state, but the form is not a form that belongs to the water, it belongs to the container of the water. So we know that. Sometimes we'll explain it as it takes the shape of its container. So this is one way of understanding this Brahman, that what is the container? It'll be the human mind. It'll be the human, or whatever our conception is. And if we want to meditate on the nature of water, we want to meditate on water, we want to meditate on God with the form, we have to take it out of the reservoir, and we have to put it in, and it'll take a shape. So Thakur gives that illustration. We give it a name, and it can be any name, because it's nameless. This is the key to everything. If it has a form, then it can only have one form. If it has a name, only one name. If it has particular qualities, then they're the ones we're stuck with. If God is a man, God is a man. That's the end of it. If God is beyond all of that, God will be worshipped either as a man or a woman. This idea, how he became so enthralled with this idea of mother worship. Okay, so this was the first. Now, if we look at this external universe, we have this concept in Vedanta, as Virat, that God is manifest as this whole universe. This is like the body of God, almost. Otherwise, our normal understanding is that, a combination of elements, this living beings, there's some cellular activity, that they can multiply, they can somehow access water and sunlight and reproduce and everything. And then human beings, there's some mental activity going on. All of this can be explained by DNA and cells and molecules and everything like that. Very common understanding that we have. The Vedanta idea will be, everything will be traced back to this Brahman. Relative point of view, we can accept all of these things, but ultimately, that this universe is really that Brahman that is covered over again with this veil of Maya, that we're seeing it in terms of time, space, and causation, that we're seeing it in terms of this veil of prism of causation, time, space, and causation, these things, and with the covering of name and form. So if we're honest people with ourselves, it is natural for us to just take things at face value. This is the universe, and we accept it that way. But we know that the Brahman alone is that ultimate reality. Everything is emanation, manifestation, or even that Brahman itself. Different ways of looking at this. And what do we do then? We again have to superimpose some idea of divinity on this external universe. Now, if we look at the early Vedic period, we'll find that all of the worship of the gods and goddesses were really the outpouring of gratitude to nature itself for providing everything that we need. There's water and wind and rain and fire, all of the Vedic deities, that they were all considered to be the presiding deities of all these natural forces in the world. And there was some feeling, not that we have to keep feeding them so that they'll provide for us, but some type of gratitude. We serve them, they serve us. A very natural type of thing that we've lost. Modern people have lost this to a certain extent. Almost all these early traditions in this country and other parts of the West, the native people of this country, that they had just a natural reverence for nature. That this idea that you take trash and you throw it outside, that you can pollute nature, that you don't care, you grow your crops, and after a few years that land is not fertile anymore, you just go and find some other land. This was unthinkable for them. That this love of the land itself, that you have to serve it. It's serving us. So we have to look upon it as something sacred. So our position now is that we have to actively try somehow to cover this external universe, world, with this idea of the divine. So how do we do this? One thing, of course, is a very easy way is when we go and see there's a beautiful waterfalls and sunsets, and we pay some attention to pristine parts of nature, how we can feel this is a divine handiwork of God, that we can feel uplifted. Thakur said, Koni Boni Muni, why did he say, you go and you want to meditate, go out into the forest, and there'll be something uplifting about it. So part of it we have to open our eyes and just see the majesty and the power, even volcanoes and earthquakes and everything, and hurricanes, tremendous power of the Mother Nature. See, we even have this idea, not just nature, Mother Nature, that it all goes back to this idea of divinity. And we can see there are many ways to create certain spaces that we'll say sacred spaces. You look at our temple here, that it was designed by someone who does churches and temples and everything, and they'll do these vaulted ceilings and steeples and everything to give this feeling of the infinite. Almost all temple architecture is based on this idea, that you go inside, you feel you're in a different world, that this idea that it just extends to the heavens somehow. You'll always see some very high vaulted ceilings and everything. Yeah. So this is the way that we can create that feeling that we're entering into a particular divine space. We know that if we go to visit some of these places, we go to Dakshineswar, for example, that we feel that we're just stepping onto holy ground. I remember my very first visit to Dakshineswar when I stepped into Thakur's room. It's like the floor fell out. It's like you're just entering into a different world, a different universe, and all because of mental association. And you're entering into a different time. You feel like now you've gone back to the 19th century. So we can do this. Some things are naturally there, some because of our own devotion or like that. We go to any place of pilgrimage, we feel that there's something special about that. We have to be able to extend this. So we feel this everywhere. For Sri Ramakrishna, he had that feeling to such a strong degree when he went to Kashi, when he went to Varanasi, that there's this belief that somehow the city is made of gold. And when Thakur went there, he experienced that to such an extent that when he had to answer the call of nature, he had to have a boatman take him to the other side of the Ganga, that it would be defiling somehow the sacred ground there. So this idea of the sacred is natural to some people. It can be just in certain areas. It can be created, and we can try to see it everywhere, this idea. I had an interesting experience when I went on pilgrimage to Kedarnath. And one of the places where pilgrims stop is Rudraprayag. And this Prayag, these are places where there'll be streams of the Ganga, some confluence of the different rivers, holy rivers and everything, and people are supposed to take a bath there. So when we got there, I was traveling with the two other sadhus. When we got there, it was evening, and it had just gotten dark, and there was load shedding, so we could hardly see anything. And you have to climb down, I think, something like 7 flights of stairs, from the main area to get down to where the river is. It's carved its way down, so it's much below. And that night was night of a crescent moon. Yeah, and there's a crescent, and you can see there's the Himalayas there, and with the snow peaks, right? and this crescent moon is resting just on the top of that peak. And you can see there's Ganga flowing down from that, and then it hit me. This is Shiva. This is Shiva. Then it struck me that Shiva, this visible universe, is the form, that whole concept of Shiva comes from that some rishis somehow meditating and seeing the snow peaks and seeing the Ganges coming out of that, and the crescent moon is there and everything, that they came out with that idea. So it's one way of worshiping Shiva as Virat, that manifests as this visible universe. So it was really a thrilling type of thing, that we always think Shiva, infinite, absolute reality beyond everything, this pure consciousness and everything, but at the same time, this whole visible universe. So these are the different ways that we can do that. I feel that our temple itself, this area, there's also some sacred ground, some special manifestation. When we had our initial inauguration, Swami Atmastanandaji was here, and he made a phone call to Swami Bhuteshanandaji Maharaj, who was president at that time. And I remember I could hear, I didn't have the phone, but I could hear his voice through the phone, giving a blessing, may Thakur ever remain present here in this temple, in this area. So I always have that feeling that anything we do here, any cleaning and mowing the lawn, I used to feel mowing the lawn that I'm giving Thakur a haircut. Yeah, this is living embodiment, and we have to extend it. The whole world is a living embodiment of the divine, and then we treat everything differently. Great respect. I appreciate all these environmentalists who see that the universe is not something as a trash can for us to just throw things in. That we have to have some sense, not just of the need to keep it in good shape, but the need to see it as divine, something special about all of this. There's a beautiful song by Ram Prasad about Mother Kali as the embodiment of this whole universe, that he says that when I walk around the town, I feel that I'm circumambulating, doing pradakshina of Mother Kali herself. It's a very nice song that we have. So a lot of this depends on our imagination, and a lot of it depends on our insight. Now, this idea of Shiva as Virat, this is something that Thakur experienced. There's a very nice incident in his life. He said, one day while worshiping Shiva, I was about to offer a bell leaf on the head of the image. So this will be Shiva Lingam in one of the temples there. When it was revealed to me that this Virat, this universe itself is Shiva. After that, my worship of Shiva through the image came to an end. Another day, I had been plucking flowers when it was revealed to me that the flowering plants were so many bouquets adorning the universal form of God. So this is the second idea. First, we're superimposing some personality on this infinite impersonal Brahman. Second, this visible universe, we're superimposing this idea of divinity in order to understand that it is divine, that it is worthy of our worship, we can say even. Now the third will be ourselves. Now, why do we have to do that? Because we're so identified with this physical aspect, this mental aspect, the personal aspect. Mostly our sense of identification, mostly with this ego, is with our idea of ourselves as having certain types of qualities and identifying ourselves with certain types of religious ideas, political ideas, social ideas, all the different, the whole combination of different mindsets that we have. This is what we identify with mostly. Body we know is changing. But we cling sometimes to our opinions and everything. So what we want to do is be able to change our sense of identification through this process of aropa, this process of superimposition, so that we start to understand that we ourselves are divine. Now, we can simply say that, let me practice neti. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the senses, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the subconscious mind. Thakur says, very good. You can do that. And by that, you can eliminate this understanding of ego completely, but it comes back the next minute, this sense of I. So the other answer is then, false identification is the problem. Try a different type of identification. Superimpose something that will eliminate this other type. Is it also something false? Yeah, ultimately, if we want to say this is also Brahma, there's also some erroneous idea. If the problem is that I think of myself as Swami ATMAJNANANANDA, that I am somebody that I went to India, I took these vows, and this is who I am, you see me. If I want to get rid of that idea, not completely, I understand the relative importance of that, but I want to start thinking of myself as a child of mother. So to get rid of that, I change my major sense of identification so that now, if anybody asks me, or if I think, or it becomes natural to me to feel that this is how I self-identify. It's a very common thing nowadays. How do you self-identify? Even with whether male or female. There's some male body, they self-identify as female, or vice versa. So we self-identify as child of God, friend of God, any of the relationships. So this ultimately, I am nothing but the Brahman itself. This is that in-between thing. This is that layer of superimposition that will free me from this other identification, which is the cause of bondage, the cause of unhappiness, the cause of attachment, the cause of fear, the cause of hostility towards other people. All of the problems in life come from this identification with something small and limited. It can be ourselves, it can be our little group, our family, it can be our religious tradition, our country, whatever it is, that restricts us and makes everybody else something different. So this is the first step in eliminating this sense of identification with a small, superficial aspect of ourselves. So we can do this from a devotional point of view, where we identify with any of the different bhavas, that I want to think of myself as a child because I want to worship God as mother. If I have great maternal instincts, I can try to think of God as a small child and myself as mother. There's Vatsalya Bhava, all different ways of doing these. Even for the jnani, I can superimpose this idea that I am Brahman. And now someone will say, you're superimposing an idea? No, that's the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is Brahman alone exists. I am Brahman is also lower than that because the sense of I is there. The higher truth is that the ego doesn't exist at all, Brahman alone is there. So this is also taking an attitude. This is also within that relative realm. So the meditation, I am Brahman, is also it's Samvadi Brahma. There's also this Vidya Maya. Thakur very clearly, even this meditation on Brahman, this will also belong to that Vidya Maya. So how do we do this? How do we identify with this absolute? If we want to do this I am he. If we don't like this idea, no, why should I start thinking of myself in terms of some social, personal relationship? Mother, father, and lover, beloved, all of these things. I want to just do this I am Brahman. We just have to have great strength of mind and convince ourselves and analyze. And so soon as every time that ego comes up, just look at it and say, I'm not that. And this is that real path of Jnana Yoga that Swamiji also taught. So let me read something about this. Covering our feeling of weakness with the truth that we're infinite and strong. He liked this idea. Covering this idea that we're bound by the truth that I'm free, I'm perfect. So Swamiji said, this is the only way toward the goal, to tell ourselves and to tell everybody else that we are divine. As we go on repeating this, strength comes. He who falters at first will get stronger and stronger, and the voice will increase by volume until the truth takes possession of our hearts and courses through our veins and permeates our bodies. Say to your own minds, I am he, let it ring day and night in your minds like a song, and at the point of death declare, I am he. That is the truth. See, we're doing it just as a kind of an affirmation, but he says, that is the truth. The infinite strength of the world is yours. So we're developing that strength which we already possess. This is that interesting idea that we have. We're attaining that freedom which we always had, which we had never lost. We only thought that we had lost. Okay, now, final area is, if I convince myself and I understand the truth that God alone dwells within me, then God alone dwells within all living beings. So we have to convince ourselves again, superimpose this idea that we're not talking to individual people, we're talking to God dwelling within each and every person. Again, we can personalize it. Sri Ramakrishna liked this idea that I see Sita dwelling in all women, Rama dwelling in all men. We can personalize it. Or we can simply just see that divine consciousness throbbing, growing, living within each and every being. And Swamiji says, what is the best way to approach this? To feel that serving them is a type of worship. Now, for Swamiji, God dwells within all beings, but there's a special manifestation. Now, for Sri Ramakrishna, special manifestation would always be avatar. For Swamiji, special manifestation is the poor, the exploited, the underclasses of society. He called Daridra Narayana. Swamiji coined this term, Daridra Narayana, seeing God dwelling in the least of everyone, and serving, that'll be a certain type of worship. We look at what Mother Teresa did in Kolkata, that really, whether we like what she did or not, everyone was concerned about trying to convert everybody. Okay, forget about that for a second, but they really served these people as if they were serving Christ himself. This was the idea that's inculcated in them, and that they fully accept that service to them, to living beings, is service to Christ himself, as if Christ is lying on the ground there on the street side, and they're serving Christ. So the same idea, and we have some very nice examples of this. We're reading about this, one of our great sadhus, Bon Baba, Swami Muktananda, Bon Bihari Maharaj, that he served for so many years in our hospital, our Seva Ashram in Varanasi, and he would serve the patients who had developed different types of sores and open things, pus and everything, and sometimes the smell was so horrible that others couldn't go there, or they would have to cover their faces completely to go there. For how many years? 40 years, 40 plus years. He went with great joy, and never any sense of repulsion or anything. And he would serve them, and he would always refer to them as Narayanas. So the patient Narayanas. If anybody said, I'm going to see a patient, they would get a big scolding. And don't call them patients. Yeah, understand that there's a great privilege. You're going to serve Narayana himself, that you're serving God himself in human form. So this was the ideal that Swamiji taught, this idea of the living God. And Again, we're superimposing this idea on our minds because our minds haven't yet understood that this is the ultimate truth. So this Swamiji really made this a new type of karma yoga, or a new path, a new type of worship. This is what he called the worship of the living God. I want to read, this is one of my favorite poems that Swamiji wrote. It was written in one of his letters. I don't remember, Mary Hale maybe. I don't remember now who he wrote it to. Do you remember? Anyhow, so let me read this. Where should you go to seek God? Oh, sorry. Yeah. He who is in you and outside you, who works through all hands, who walks on all feet, whose body are all ye, him worship, and break all other idols. He who is at once the high and the low, the sinner and the saint, both God and worm, him worship, visible, knowable, real, omnipresent, break all other idols, in whom is neither past life, nor future birth, nor death, in whom we always have been and shall be one, him worship, break all other idols. Ye fools, who neglect the living God and his infinite reflections with which the world is full, while ye run after imaginary shadows that lead alone to fights and quarrels, him worship, the only visible, break all other idols. So this is a wonderful practice to somehow, whatever method we use, to convince ourselves that we're seeing God directly, that and if we can serve them, it's a great blessing for us. I had a very small little opportunity to do this my first year in Trabuco Canyon, where I joined. We had an old Swami there. His name was Swami Anamananda, and cranky old Swami. And nobody cared for him very much. He always complaining about this and that. And he had a very bad problem with his foot, that every day it had to be dressed and massaged with cream and everything. So that was my job, to do that. Yeah. So I said to myself, let me try. Let me feel that I'm massaging Thakur's feet. And my goodness, it really, really works. And he became so soft and sweet. We would have nice, long conversations and everything. And everything is our attitude, really. Everything is our attitude. And this is what this is all about, this covering everything, to change our way of looking at this world. Don't deny anything. Of course, that's a path. Well, Thakur never said that 1880 is not a good path. But there's a very positive way of doing it. All of the things that we looked at in a negative light, you can convert it, change it. Superimpose a little layer of sweetness on everything. And infuse everything with this idea of divinity. So Swamiji said, I'll close with this last quote from his lecture. So work, says the Vedanta, putting God in everything and knowing him to be in everything. Work incessantly, holding life as something deified, as God himself, and knowing that this is all we have to do, this is all we should ask for. So this is that idea of a positive type of spiritual practice. We don't have to deny anything. We don't have to say this is unreal, that this is something that we should turn our face away from, that we can accept everything. Knowing, of course, that there'll be areas we have to protect ourselves. That's a different thing. But to learn to try to cover everything with the face of God, with the divinity. So I'll stop here. We have another song at the end? Oh, huh? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we'll have that song now, and then I'll make some announcements afterwards.
This is a song from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna.
of my life, my innermost being. I have none else but you in all the world to call my own. You are my all in all, oh Lord. You are my peace, my joy, and my hope. You are my glory, my wealth, my support. You are my wisdom and my strength, my all in all. I have none else but you to call my own. You are my home, my place of rest. You are my nearest of kin, my dearest friend. You are my present, my future, my heaven, and my salvation. You are my all in all, oh Lord, my holy scripture guiding my steps. You are my teacher, ever full of grace. You are the spring of my boundless bliss, the way and the goal. You are the Holy One to be adored, the tender Mother, the chastising Father. You are Creator, the only protector. You are the helmsman who steers my craft across the sea of life. You are the helmsman who steers my craft across the sea of life. You are my all in all, oh Lord. I have none else but you in all the world to call my own.
So you all know that Swami Sarvadevanandi is coming. He'll be reaching here Tuesday night. Flight gets in at 6:30, so he should be here by 8. We haven't planned anything formal, but if anybody wants to come, we'll more or less have satsang every night. And when he comes, satsang also means potluck. So if you want to bring something, you're most welcome to do that. And we're hoping that he'll take all of the classes when he's here, Wednesday morning, Friday night. And then Saturday, there'll be a day retreat. You'll see the schedule posted on our website. And Saturday night at 7:30, we have a very nice concert planned. This Suranjan Banjit Chaudhary. He's sung here once or twice before. A very, very nice Hindustani classical singer and bhajans. Well, he may do a little bit of each. So that will be Saturday night. Sunday, we'll have a Ram Navami Puja, and this is the 29th anniversary of the founding of the center. So we're very lucky, fortunate, that Swami Sarvadevananji will be with us on this occasion. I think he was here last year also, and that was when, so now we're the first year of being an independent center. I think that was also when we kind of declared that. So everyone try to come if you can while he's here. As I said, we'll have a potluck and the satsang every night. And he goes back, I don't remember, Monday or Tuesday. Anyhow, we'll let you know about all of that. And then any other, of course, you're all invited to join us for refreshments in the basement now. Then I'll close with a prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashchetu Kabhag Bhavet. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. May all beings be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize the highest good, may none suffer from misery. Peace, peace, peace be unto you.